Hi there. So in this problem set, we're going to do a little bit of practice with the LRATC, and some of it's going to be involving some of the costs that we've learned about already. So let's get started. The table below shows the output that a firm produces using different amounts of capital, abbreviated with a K, because we don't use C, and we'll talk about that later, and labor, abbreviated L. The markets for capital and labor are perfectly competitive. We have to know that in order to actually do this problem. There's some assumptions there. And the rental rate, or the price of capital, is $75 per unit, and the wage rate is $200 per unit or per worker. And economists like to dehumanize, and that's the way I guess it, per worker. In the short run, capital is fixed and labor is variable. Now, it says if the firm is using 1 unit of labor and 1 unit of capital, how much output is it producing? This one's just asking you, can you read the table? So we go, all right, labor 1, capital 1, 10. So we produce 10 units. If the firm doubles its size to 2 labor and 2 capital, how much output is it producing? Okay, well, now we can reread the table. Labor 2, capital 2 gives us 50. The firm, blank, less than, more than, exactly, doubles its output by doubling its size. So, well, did we more than double? Yes, we more than doubled. And based on our answer in number 3, if the firm is operating at K1, L1, is the firm operating in the increasing, the constant, or decreasing returns? Explain using numbers. Well, if we were at 1 and 1, and then we moved to 2 and 2, and by doing that, we doubled the cost, but we quintupled the amount of output because we went from 10 to 50, then we know that the ATC has got to be getting smaller. And we could actually run the numbers and calculate the ATC in this problem, or we could just know that we made the output go up by 5 times and we only had the inputs go up 2 times. So that means we're in the increasing returns to scale range. Increasing because 5 times the output and 2 times the input. And so more technically, right, we could actually say, what's the ATC at those 2 values? And that's really not going to be a very difficult thing for us to figure out. The ATC at 1, 1 is, now how many units were we producing? We're producing 10. So it's the total product and it's the total cost. So it's 10 units. And how much is the total cost at 1 and 1? Well, it's $200 per worker and 75 per capital, so 275. So we know the ATC at 1, 1 is 27.5. Well, what about the ATC at 2, 2? Well, the ATC at 2, 2, our total product is 50. We established that here. Well, what's the total cost? Well, 200 times 2 is 400 plus 150, so 550. 550 divided by 50 is 55 over 5, so that's 11. And so we would actually say it's increasing because, right, we could also say or because we went from 27.5 to 11, because that's the ATC and it's getting smaller. Okay, now it says, assume the firm currently has 2 capital and 3 labor. Calculate the marginal product for that 3rd unit of labor. Show your work. So we're in the 2 capital, and it's saying how much did we gain by hiring the 3rd worker? So going from the 2nd to the 3rd is 50 to 75. So we would say A, 75 minus 50 is 25. Now we'll do B. Did the firm experience diminishing marginal returns with the addition of that 3rd unit of labor? Explain using numbers. So for this one, right, here we got 20 from that one, 30 from that one, 25 from that one. So I just figured out what's the marginal product for each of those. And you can see that they increased from 20 to 30. So they were specializing when they hired that 2nd worker. But then when they got the 3rd worker, they started to experience diminishing marginal returns because 25 is less than 30. So yes, because 25 is less than 30. And these are the marginal products of those two, the 2nd worker and the 3rd worker. C says firm's average total cost for its current level of production. Show your work. And so its current level of production was 2 capital, 3 labor. So here, that's 75 is our total product. So ATC is 75. And what's the total cost associated with 2 capital and 3 workers? So 2 capital was 150, and 3 workers is 600. And so 600 plus 150 is 750. So $10. And again, that 750 is just from 3 workers and 2 machines. And then letter D says if the firm's output, oops, let's see if we can actually see that. I'm sorry. If the firm's output is sold in a competitive market, what's the lowest output price at which the third unit of labor would be hired? Now, take a moment, right? And you could rationalize this. I didn't teach you how to do this, but I bet you could think about it and think through it and you'll figure it out. If they're sold competitively, what's the lowest price at which for the product, whatever they're making, it's the lowest price for that product where they'd hire the third worker. Well, think about how much does the third worker cost? The third worker costs 200, right? So the wage equals 200. How much did that third worker generate? Well, we already actually calculated that, right? We calculated the third worker generated 25 units. So the marginal product of the labor, in that case, the third worker, was 25. So in order to justify paying this worker $200, how much do each of these units need to cost? Well, that worker's going to make 25 units. How much would the minimum price be in order to justify hiring them? Well, we just say 200 divided by 25 is 8. All right, hopefully that helps you. See you next time.